Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sneha De. I am from Lead Group's marketing team. Lead Group is India's largest school edtech company. We have the largest school network in India. And on behalf of Lead Group, I would like you to invite all of you for taking the time out on a weekday at 4 p.m. to come live and join with us. This session is called Addressing Teacher Needs and Strategies for Retention. And today we have with us Ritika Chawla. She is the Vice President of Academic Learning and Development at Lead Group. An alumnus of Azim Premji University, Bangalore, and Symbiosis International University in Pune, Ritika comes with an extensive 14 years of experience in the education space. In fact, she has personally has been responsible for coaching over 950 schools in their transformation journey. She has mentored school teachers across the country as a part of the India School Leadership Institute and also taught primary students in Mumbai as a part of the 2-year Teach for India Fellowship. Apart from this, Ritika is extremely passionate about environmental protection and leads a zero waste lifestyle. I'm sure with her, given her expertise and knowledge about the session, about the topic, you will be gaining a lot of insights from this live session. So without any further ado, Ritika, over to you.
Thank you so much, Neha. Thanks for the kind introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. The fact that, Sneha mentioned that all of you are here on a weekday afternoon just goes to show how much you care about your teachers and your school, right? So thanks for joining in. When Sneha was introducing me, the one thing that I'm very, very proud of being is actually a teacher. So I taught kids during the Teach for India Fellowship back in 2010. Most of my students are actually now finishing college. And I have to say that being a teacher is like the best thing I've ever done in all of my career of seeing impact directly in the field. And I think that's the very reason why I wanted to do this webinar also, because I've been on the other side and I know how challenging it can get to retain teachers, to support teachers and ensure that they do a great job, right? So that's why this webinar is why we've planned it for today. But before we go ahead, I'd actually like to add on to what Sneha was sharing about Lead Group, right? What we've been doing. So as she mentioned, we are the fastest growing edtech company in the in all of India. But we actually have a huge vision that we want to get to, which is by 2028, we want to get to 26 million students by working with 60,000 schools. And schools like yours who genuinely care for their teachers and students. Lead Group was started by Smita and Sumit, and they both actually have been teachers themselves at some point, and that's why the organization thinks from the school lens all the time. We think from, how school principals operate, how coordinators operate, how owners think about their schools, how parents think, how teachers think. So anything and everything that we do, we think of every single stakeholder that is part of the school system and create things, and create situations and scenarios and anything and everything that can support them very, very well. So that's a little bit about Lead. And actually, just to kick off the webinar today, I actually first want to share a video. This is a tribute from all of us at Lead Group for teachers across the country. Like I said, I've been a teacher myself, so has Smita and Sumit, and so we feel for teachers a lot, and we know that the job that they do day in, day out is not an easy one. At corporate offices, it's very easy. At 6 o'clock in the evening, you say, hey, my job is done, I'm going to shut my laptop and I can go home. But I think teaching is one role where your job never ends, neither on weekends nor when you're sleeping. I think even in our sleep, teachers are always, educators for that matter, are always thinking of this student, that parent, what can I do more for them? So this video is, an acknowledgement and gratitude from all of us to the teachers out there.
टीचर होना आसान नहीं होता। पसीने को स्याही बना के पेन में भरना पड़ता है, तब जाके बच्चों की किस्मत लिखी जाती है।
ठंडी आग में सोना निखरते देखा है कभी? नहीं ना, इसीलिए पहले खुद चलना पड़ता है।
कभी सिलेबस बदल जाता है तो कभी टेक्नोलॉजी। टीचर पहले पढ़ता है, फिर, क्योंकि जब तक टीचर का जूता नहीं घिसता, स्टूडेंट्स का फ्यूचर नहीं चमकता।
बच्चों की उम्र से उम्र मिलाकर दौड़ना पड़ता है। अगर खुद स्लो हो गए तो वो कैसे तेज भागेंगे?
खुद की जिंदगी का गणित भले ही कितना भी उलझा हो, बच्चों के इक्वेशन को सुलझाना ही पड़ता है। टीचर होना आसान नहीं होता। प्रिंसिपल की डांट को मुस्कान बनाना पड़ता है। इनकी खुशियों के बीच अपना गम छुपाना पड़ता है। पेरेंट्स का गुस्सा प्यार बना के लौटाना पड़ता है। टीचर होना आसान नहीं होता। सभी बच्चे हीरे होते हैं, लेकिन जौहरी बन के टीचर ही बताता है किसको कैसे तराशना है।
तेरे बन जाए मेरा रास्ता।
लीड सल्यूट करता है हर एक टीचर को, क्योंकि टीचर होना आसान नहीं और टीचर से ज्यादा कोई महान नहीं।
I've seen this video, hundreds of times. And having been a teacher and educator myself, I think it just leaves me teary-eyed each time I watch it. And I think I really, really empathize and feel for teachers, having been one myself. But I really give it to teachers out there because it's not easy being a teacher at all. The amount of people that teachers work with day in, day out, parents, school principals, owners, so many students having different expectations in the class. Sometimes they're subject teachers, so they're teaching multiple classes. They're dealing with their peers. They're also dealing with admin staff, right? And of course, they're trying to do all of this and juggle all of this and do it really well at the end of the day. So I have a question actually for all of you. After having watched the video, I'm sure you must have realized that there are so many things that teachers do, right? So according to you, what are some of the most important tasks, or actually big or small things? It doesn't have to be very important, in your perspective, but things that teachers do on a daily basis that really add value to the school and goes unnoticed, right? So I think the one image that comes to my head is always of Goddess Durga. She has 10 hands and she's trying to juggle so many things, holding so many things. I think teachers are exactly like that. They're always trying to juggle so many things. So according to all of you, what are some of the things that you see teachers doing, as daily things in school that make an impact? If you can put that in the chat box. What are some of the teachers' daily responsibilities? Okay, it's exam season, so someone has messaged saying exam papers banana. Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's one of the most toughest tasks teachers do. Preparing lesson plans, doing corrections, and I think there is never ending of those corrections. Addressing student needs, whether it's, personal situations students are going through, emotional situations, or in classroom situations. Marking attendance, doing personality develop for children, most importantly, having patience in all of this, right? And dealing with all of this with a smile on their face all the time. So let's look at some of the things that teachers do. Some of these you've already shared. I can see a few more responses. Giving encouragement to students, in spite of her emotional baggage at home, she leaves it at home and comes back to school day in, day out smiling. What a beautiful thought, Madhuri ma'am. Absolutely, right? Caring for children, providing a safe situation, ensuring paper corrections most importantly are done on time. I think we're approaching exam season in another month, so everyone has exams and corrections on their mind. But of course, some of you mentioned planning and preparing lessons, encouraging student participation, creating teaching learning material. I think this is one of the toughest tasks teachers have to do. Whether you're a science teacher or a math teacher, you end up being an art teacher because you have to create so many things for your classroom, right? Doing research and ensuring you're always updated in order to ensure that your students are learning for the future. You yourself as a teacher have to be upgraded, right? So working towards that, of course, grading students, marking assessment, performance, managing parents. Someone early on had said, how do you handle parents if a child has met with an injury? How do you deal with such situations? Well, teachers know it better, and I'm sure it's not easy for them. But dealing with parents, dealing with their expectations, planning and supporting school events, annual days, sports day, who's on the field, who's managing students in the green room, it's always the teachers. Administrative tasks, advancing their own professional growth in all of this. They might have done a B.Ed, a D.Ed, or something else, but constantly learning to be able to teach is very, very important for our teachers, of course, right? And collaborating with other educators, working with their peers, ensuring that they not just support themselves in classroom, but also support their peers when as and when it is needed. So in all of this, while teachers do so many important things in schools, however, we're constantly still seeing a teacher turnover happen in schools, right? And I'm sure a lot of you have noticed this post-pandemic. How many of you have seen teachers deciding not to be teachers again, right? Despite the fact that they love the profession, they love being with students, they know that they're impacting the future of the country and playing a very, very important role in that. How many of you post-pandemic have seen that teachers no more want to be teachers, but want to move to other professions for various reasons? If you've seen this happen, please put down a yes in the chat. Okay. I can see one yes. What about others? Okay, Srinath sir also says yes. Jyoti ma'am says yes. Yeah, of course, right? All of us have seen this happen, and I have some data with me over here, right? If you see the ASER report, it shows that teacher absenteeism in rural schools, especially the primary sections, which is grade 1 to 5, is 23.6%. And it's constantly going up and up, right? This is a 2018 report, and post-pandemic we know that it's even gotten worse. And we've also seen that 25% teachers have said that they have better career opportunities outside their teaching, the teaching sector, right? So I think this, and one of the biggest reasons, of course, teachers have cited is being low salaries. They do expect more. So someone who had asked this question as to why do teachers move towards government schools, I think one of the primary reason is the job security that it offers. And it's not me, it's a lot of studies that say that, it's job security. It's the fact that you have so many additional perks, the number of leaves that you're allowed, and more than anything else, your salaries are far, far better, right? And that's the reason why teachers are moving either towards that sector, or more often than not, we've seen that they're just completely giving up teaching, and they feel that, they can make better money or have better work-life balance and other things, not doing this at all, right? So why do you think this is also an important thing? Why do you think teachers are really leaving? I've already shared some of the reasons, and some are on the screen. Before I get into that, what are some of these challenges that you have seen? Why are teachers, I'm sure you've had teacher attrition in your schools. What are some of the reasons that teachers are stating when they're leaving your school? Can you put that in the chat box, please? Yeah, I think it's absolutely bang on, Madhuri ma'am. A lot of times it is a default profession. I think when all of us were growing up, you could either be a doctor, an engineer, a lawyer, and if nothing else, then a teacher, right? So a lot of times people thought that becoming a teacher is the easiest job because you get done at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and you're back home, and that's that. I don't think the teaching profession is anymore like that at all. It has drastically changed. And as I was sharing earlier, you can't shut your laptop and you can't shut your book at 6 p.m. and say, I'm done with the day. You have a lot of things that you need to do. And that's why I think Rao sir has rightly pointed out that handling stress becomes difficult for teachers because they're juggling work, they're also managing expectations of parents and students and school authorities, and that's get very, very difficult for them. And hence, it feels like it's more of a chance that they landed here and there are better choices out there and they move towards that, right? These are some of the reasons that, we've when we've spoken to teachers, that they have shared this is why they tend to leave teaching. One is, of course, inadequate planning. They're given too much to do. They don't have the time for it. Schools are not planning for it very well. There's lack of support and recognition. Even if they're doing a great job, no one's coming and patting their back. They're expected to appreciate students, but nobody is actually really appreciating them and the hard work that they're putting in for building those students. Of course, there are a lot of difficult working circumstances and limited professional development opportunities, right? While there is constant learning available for a lot of professions, there are courses available. For teaching, this has been limited for quite some time. It's now something that is slowly picking up where teachers do learn beyond doing a B.Ed, D.Ed as well. Personal factors, I'm sure a lot of teachers tell you they're getting married, having children, or their families are not comfortable with them doing a job for personal reasons, and hence they tend to walk away. And I think compensation and benefits, as I was sharing earlier, is a big reason why teachers either move to the government sector or completely give up, and look out for things that could pay them better or give them a little more security in terms of where they are. So before we move forward, let's look at what are some of the reasons, that are important for retaining teachers. Sneha, do we have the poll ready?
Yes. Give me a moment. Attendees, I think on your screen right now, you can see a poll. Which are the important factors that you need to sort of, that are required to retain your teachers? Is it career growth? Is it personal development, work-life balance, or compensation? Ritika, I think you can also see the performance of the poll, and a lot of it has to do with work-life balance and compensation.
Okay, I'm unable to see it. Let
All
me
right.
just. Now I can. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I think most of you marked work-life balance, and then of course career growth. Some of you also said compensation and personal development, right? So despite the fact that there was a belief and a myth rather that teaching is one profession where there's most amount of work-life balance, and I still hear it, right, from a lot of people who think, oh, summer vacations, teachers have summer vacations, they have the best time because 2 months they don't have to work at all. And I think that's an absolute myth. It's not true anymore. Teachers do work 365 days a year, literally, even on weekends at times. So I think that's gone away, and work-life balance has become a big reason why teachers tend to walk away from the profession. Career growth, yeah, I've been a teacher for a very, very long time. What next? There is position for 1, 2, maybe 3 academic coordinators. That's what I can be. There's only one position for a principal. So there is no more career growth. I can continue being a teacher for the next 20 years of my life, but I will not see getting anywhere beyond that. Compensation, of course, we've talked about this, and personal development, right? This is also becoming a big reason why teachers feel I'm not really learning anymore. So why do I need to keep doing this?
Right. And Ritika, I have been noticing the chat. I think right at the start of the session, I'd asked that, what are your biggest pain points when it comes to retaining the teachers? And a lot of people said that the burnout. And someone mentioned that, some teachers can't take the stress, right? So
Yeah.
those are your essential big pain points that, of course, compensation is a part of it. But I think mostly it has to do with the amount of pressure, because it's not just teaching, it's
Yes.
so many other things, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Sneha. And I think that is what's been pulling teachers down, right? Because as a teacher, I'm expected to do everything. And a lot of people have shared the daily work that teachers do, right? So from creating lesson plans, to creating assessments, to checking those assessments, to also continuously building myself, I think all of that gets to teachers after a point. So let's actually look at, why is it important before we get into solving for this? Why is it important to retain teachers? Why is it, necessary that we have teachers consistently in our schools? And here are some reasons up on the screen that you can see. One is, of course, consistency and stability in education, right? Constant teacher attrition is very hard. for schools to manage. Professional growth and institutional knowledge. If you've had a teacher around for a very, very long time, you know that you can depend on them to take care of things. Not only that, you can also ensure that they will then help other new teachers who come in to settle down, to learn the way of the school function, all of that, right? Cost effectiveness and resource allocation. Constantly hiring teachers, raising salaries, taking care of all of that is it's very, very tough for schools. And I think it's also tough because there is an expectation. If you have a great teacher or a good teacher in school, parents want them to be there, right? Sometimes schools are known by the names of certain teachers. You have a Megha ma'am in the school or a Sneha ma'am in the school, and you know that parents know these teachers and know that they've been teaching, they've taught my elder kid, they're teaching my younger kid. And I think those relationships in the community really, really is important for schools to hold on to. And of course, improve student performance and engagement. We know when teachers are not around or teachers leave in mid-year, how badly that impacts student performance and engagement in classrooms. So this is very important that we retain our teachers. And what do we do to actually support and ensure that our teachers stay on? So let's look at solving for the challenge that many of you brought up. What can we do to now retain our teachers and address their needs? First off, please make sure that you have classroom resources. So if all of you are, if you have a notepad or diary or something around, please make a note of some of these things. I'm sure some of these things you're already doing, but if you're not, please start doing those to support your teachers. The first one is around improving work environment. The environment in which teachers function has to be conducive and supportive and comfortable for them to be carrying on with their profession. So in order to make sure that they have a great environment for both teaching as well as self-learning, it's important that we provide them with classroom resources. Don't expect teachers to be creating everything all the time. Imagine if they had stuff ready, how helpful that would be. And for this, I can give you a very quick idea. When I was a teacher, I remember we used to have a time in the year where we would all come together and create resources. And all of us would pool in those resources and share and use it with each other so that everyone didn't have to keep recreating those resources. That saved a lot of time, from creating new and new TLMs every year. The second one being supportive leadership. I think this can come only from a great principal and a great academic coordinator or school owner who supports their teacher. And a very simple way of doing this is having an open door policy, so that teachers can come in. They don't feel scared of approaching you. You are approachable to them. They know that they can talk to you. And I can give you a very simple idea on this one. When I was a teacher, I remember our principal used to conduct, a monthly one-on-one for 30 minutes with every teacher individually. And she would not miss that at all. Whether there were 15 teachers or 50 teachers in the school, it did not matter. She made sure she does that because that would tell her how her teachers were feeling, what support they required, and made her more approachable, when we had to reach out to her. So please make sure that you provide that sort of supportive leadership to your teachers. Collaborative culture. Instead of having competition amongst teachers, it's far better that they support each other. If a teacher is doing something really great in the classroom, please make sure that she shares this with other teachers. Do meetings on weekly or fortnightly basis so they can all come together and learn from each other. Involve teachers in decision making, right? Don't push down decisions on them and say, oh, we've decided you need to do this. Have a conversation with them to understand. Maybe sometimes there are things they want to learn and contribute towards. Sometimes their hands might be tied or they don't have a certain skill and you're expecting them to deliver. So please make sure any decision that you take, especially pertaining to their students, if you're changing policies, you have their buy-in because they're the ones who are going to be facing parents. So it's very important that they're part of this. Space for managing time within given school schedule. A lot of schools make this mistake where they would have 8 periods and they would expect teachers to be teaching for all of those 8 periods. If you have a timetable like that, trust me, your teachers are going to burn out. And that's the challenge that some of you already shared with us. Please make sure that you give them space, have 1 or 2 daily periods which are free for teachers to do corrections, which is, one big task that many of you brought up, or going through lesson plans or reading through things, for upskilling themselves. So it's important that you give them a couple of periods every day, not weekly, but every day to just sit down. And it's not easy to stand for, consecutively for 6 hours and teach. They also lose energy. So giving them space and time to build on that energy is very important. The second way to address this is professional development opportunities, right? Some of you have mentioned that teachers move off because they don't see growth, they don't see professional development for themselves. Conduct workshops. There are a lot of options and opportunities to do that. Have training programs. Figure out regularly what are some of the things that teachers need to learn to upskill themselves, and mentor teachers. So if you're doing one-on-ones with them, that's great. If you have time to walk into their classroom, sometimes quietly sit at the back, observe, but tell the teacher you're going to be coming in and observing her. Give her feedback. because nobody is going to do that, right? No one's really watching how good or bad they are in classroom, if they're teaching the right way, if there is a better way to do certain things. And from your experience, you can actually help teachers learn some of those things. Most importantly, acknowledge and support teachers. It's very important that we do that. Have like ways in acknowledging teachers. I've actually seen schools take some very, very simple steps. They would call teachers in the assembly in front of all of the students, give them a certificate, give them a pen, give them something, which actually tells them that the school appreciates the hard work that they're putting in. So it's important that while you do this for students, you do this for your teachers as well. Otherwise, they will obviously feel very, very demotivated. Have a feedback mechanism in school. If you can collect feedback every quarter or once in 6 months to know how teachers are feeling, what more support they require, keep it anonymous, right? So that teachers can honestly share this information if they've not been doing that in their one-on-ones. And of course, fair compensation. I think there is no other way to do that. This is important. But if you do all of the other things, I can promise you that your teachers will not walk away. I'm sure some of your schools have been very, very old, have been around for many, many years, and you might have some staff who has been there since the start of the school. And if you'll ask, these teachers who have been in the same school for 10 years, 20 years, why are they still sticking around? Why haven't they gone to a neighboring school or quit teaching? They'll actually tell you that more than anything else, it's the school culture that has made a huge difference to them. Having, a leader, and let me talk about how this really makes a difference to them. Having a leader who's approachable, having someone who takes care of them, when they're dealing with a personal situation, maybe their child is not well, maybe they have a problem at home. But if someone steps in and takes care of that, teachers actually feel that, it's okay if I don't make, 1,000 extra rupees or I don't go to another school, but the school culture is such that they really care for me. And that's what keeps teachers going. And that's why they stick around for 10, 20 years in the same school. Also uplift their ideas. There are a lot of innovations teachers do in the classroom. As I was sharing earlier, if you do, weekly or fortnightly meetings, get teachers to innovate and share this with each other and acknowledge this, put it out there. There are a lot of ways of doing that, and get them to, share this with other teachers, their peers. That in itself is a huge motivation for teachers. So give them space to innovate. Schedule fun events. Sometimes I've seen schools do a very simple thing. End of every quarter, they will have like one Saturday where teachers will go out for a lunch together, or they will play games in the school together. Someone will come in and do some fun activity. I've also very recently seen a couple of schools invite spouses over. And they would have, while the teacher's teaching in the classroom, the spouses would sit at the back, watch, or families would come in. And that would just give the teachers, this feeling that my work is appreciated, not just by my school, but my family also knows the amount of hard work I'm putting in. Also help them manage stress. I think the one big challenge that I see with teachers is that while they're trying to do everything and do it at high quality and with perfectionism, they tend to burn themselves out. So someone needs to sometimes help them prioritize, tell them this is important, this can be delayed, or deadlines need to be moved around. So make sure that you give them that support as the school leader. And as I was sharing earlier, encourage collaboration. If I have friends at work and I know I get along with my peers very, very well, of course, learning becomes a lot more fun for me. Otherwise, I might not want to come to work at all. So make sure that you're doing all of these things. Actually, before I move forward, let me hear what are some of the things that you guys are doing, all of you are doing to motivate and retain your teachers currently.
In fact, Ritika, Madhuri ma'am has shared a cultured code for her school. And I think her culture code is based on three very critical things. One is building safety, sharing vulnerability, and establishing purpose. And I think these three things are, not just big words. We don't really talk about teacher safety and vulnerability and establishing purpose because, uh, teacher's purpose is just teaching, but it is so expansive, right? It is not just teaching. What do you have to say on her culture code?
I think it's a brilliant thing, Madhuri ma'am, that you're doing. I think it's beautiful because before we think of student safety in school and think about their social emotional needs, I think it's the teachers whom we need to think about. So if you're doing this, I think it's wonderful, that you're being able to do this for your teachers and having this as part of a culture code. I think the one challenge I've seen with a lot of schools is that we feel that the culture is for the students. Let's discipline students. Let's ensure that they are fine. Let's have activities and fun ways of dealing for culture with them. But we forget that it's actually the teachers who are percolating that to the students. So if you're doing it for them first, I think that's really great. I've actually been to an international school while I was doing some research a couple of years back, and I remember walking into a meeting that was happening for teachers on a Friday evening when all the students have left, and the meeting started with the school principal sharing what was that one funny thing that happened in school that week, and talking about how she'd had this really funny incident with a child, and how she was helping the kid out. And in that moment, I saw how the ice just broke for all the teachers, and slowly all the teachers started sharing all the fun things that were happening in their classroom. And even though this was Friday evening, right, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, everyone was so energized and their mood just completely changed. Everyone was so happy to be sharing, to be able to talk to each other. And I think just small things like this, where you have a culture of principal also being part of the fun activities, sharing what they're going through, teachers being allowed to share these things, is really, really crucial. And when I asked teachers, what are the kind of things that you discuss in these meetings, some of them actually told me that, sometimes they're facing challenges in our classroom. And when we share those, we realize that other teachers have answers to those because they've also been through a similar situation. And so within that group of 10, 20, 50 teachers, you have a lot of wisdom that can be shared and a lot of collaboration that can happen, and teachers can support each other. So I think having like a very, very, clear way of how you want to build culture, what are some of the structures and practices that you want to do, is really helpful. I see Srinath sir has also shared, that they announce a Best Teacher Award for whoever puts in efforts to developing student skills. Anita ma'am has said they do a quarterly get together. Madhuri ma'am has also mentioned about a golden circle of Simon Sinek. Yeah, you should watch some of these YouTube videos with your teachers. I think it's great learning spaces for them. Wow. There is also somebody who's mentioned that, they give kudos certificates to their teachers by creating better and also create better opportunities for them. So I think in your own ways, there are a lot of things that you all are doing. Just look at how can you keep enhancing these by getting teachers' feedback on how are they also feeling about these things. And I'm sure you'll be on a great path to supporting your teachers and retaining them. Right, so how can we at LEAD actually help teachers? Because we've been working, with thousands of teachers across country for many, many years now, and we've learned over a period of time, looking at the challenges that some of you also shared. What are some things that really make a huge difference to teachers? And these are tried and tested things which we know have really had an impact on our teachers in continuing with the schools. First off, of course, teacher capacity building. We've realized that, this is something that keeps teachers engaged. They also feel that they're learning. And in order to teach, of course, they themselves have to be learners first. And there are various ways in which we are making this happen. So we conduct physical workshops in schools. So you can see a picture over here where the teachers are actually being trained to do something hands-on. We run an online academy. I think this is the easiest and simplest way of learning today, where teachers can log in at any point in time and pick up and learn from watching videos, doing certain activities, doing reflections, I think, and at their own pace, right? So if you want to repeat things, you need extra support. Online academy is a great way that we've seen teachers learn, and we've had a massive number of teachers, sign up for this. We also provide 200 hours of teacher resources, and these are inbuilt inside the teacher tablet that we provide to our teachers, right, within the lesson plans. The one thing that I've noticed about teacher training is, and I'm sure a lot of you will concur, is that training sometimes happens in the month of March, and we would do one full week of training as schools, right? And then the next thing we know is that topic has to be taught in the month of July. So by the time the teacher is actually being asked to teach that in the classroom, she has now forgotten what she had to do. That activity is completely gone. So, it doesn't help if you train teachers too much in advance. It has to be at a point where they can actually use their learning. So what we've done is we have a lot of micro trainings available. If a teacher is teaching a concept for the first time, she gets to see it right before she's actually going to go in and teach in the class. And I think that way of learning is incomparable to any other way of doing this. We also provide around 4,000 resources for capacity building for our teachers, and of course, observation and coaching sessions. As I mentioned earlier, I'm sure some of you might be doing rounds in the school. If you start doing this a lot more deeper, sitting in the back of the class, observing the teacher for about 20 minutes, giving her feedback, this is exactly what we do so that every teacher, because they work very differently, get that support. And I think this is a great way of teachers to learn, because I think without coaching, you really can't do much. Even, the Indian cricket team requires a coach. Rahul Dravid does that for them. Anybody and everybody who's doing something in a professional setting requires someone to coach them, tell them what they're doing really well so they continue, and also tell them what they're not doing very well. So this is the kind of support that we've been providing to our teachers all through the years, and we've seen some massive improvement in the way our teachers operate now. The other thing that we provide to our teachers is the teacher app. And there are various things that, so I was talking about Goddess Durga having to do these multi-million things, and some of you also shared the work that your teachers do. This app actually saves their life. It's like a best friend, literally like having a best friend in the classroom. We provide ready-made lesson plans, resources, micro-training, videos that I was mentioning earlier. Even homework is pre-created. So teachers don't have to use, spend time, use their energy in creating homework and taking that to classroom. Attendance can be marked very easily. It completely runs offline, so internet is not required and teachers don't have to worry about that. Even the books are built into the system within the app itself. There are ideas on how can they manage their classrooms better. Digital assessments are available, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Remedials are available. So a lot of times teachers struggle with knowing, how their students have really done. And this makes their life super easy, because it really tells them, okay, here are the students who've been doing well, here are the students who are not doing well, or these are the specific topics in which students are not doing well, so that teachers can provide solid hand holding to all of them. This is a little more about the Lead Academy that I was talking about, the online method, right? So this is actually based on the idea of how Netflix works. I'm sure all of you love watching movies in theater, but a lot of times when we miss that, we would want to watch the movie at our own pace. I'm free on a Saturday evening. I want to watch a movie at home. It's not available. So I want to do it at my own pace, at my own time, in the comfort of my house, right? So Lead Academy is actually based on the same ideology that teachers can learn wherever, whenever they want, 24/7, whenever they're free, right? So once all of this additional work that teachers do of creating lesson plans, resources, all of that is off their plate, now the teachers actually have time for building their own learning journey and building their own skills. And in the Lead Academy, we provide them all sorts of training courses. These are topics that NEP and CBSE have recommended. There are, recorded sessions for them. There are pre-reads for them. We also provide online training sessions for them, which are live. So sometimes teachers need some hand-holding and they can join in and attend these. And as I was sharing earlier, we also have, an in-person training support that we provide through this. All right, let's now talk about, so this was specific to teachers, right? What are we providing? But a lot of these
Ritika,
solutions.
before we, of course, go into the integrated solutions, I actually, we have also done so many school visits. And one thing that I have continuously sort of, heard from principals and teachers themselves, that sometimes training, while it is great for personal growth, it still comes into a teacher's time, personal time, right? So how does a teacher, or what can a school do to ensure that the training is not just another burden on them? Or how to convince them that it is for your personal growth as an educator. So how do you solve for that?
Yeah, great questions, Neha. I think there are two very simple things we need to keep in mind. Firstly, what we train teachers for, right? If I'm expecting if it's a math teacher and I say, hey, you need to attend an English training because all the teachers are getting trained on that, she might not find that purposeful, right? So first thing is that the training has to be purposeful based on what really teachers need to be implementing in their classrooms, or things that they're interested in learning. Sometimes, I've seen English teachers being very interested in knowing how do you use data, because that's like an up and coming thing. I've also had a lot of teachers tell me that, I want to learn how to use AI and chat GPT because I'm hearing about it and I'm just very curious. So as long as whatever you're training the teacher on, one is usable in the classroom. Second is something that really interests them and they know that, this is something that they would add to their own capability and capacity. Then I think it works very well for teachers. And in terms of timings, I would say that, schools, actually CBSE, NEP do say that, the schools have to spend a certain number of hours every year. So about 50 hours of training are mandatory for schools to conduct. And if schools realize that, this is, and this is actually a request to everybody who's on the call, that if you can make time for these trainings and don't think that, we have to carve out too much time, even if you spend couple of hours every month, not more than that, and the rest of it can be done during the free periods of the teachers by watching things on their own mobile, then that's fine. but don't look at it as, if the school management or principal looks at it as a burden and one check off thing that they need to do, teachers will also think of it like that. So it's very important that teachers are aligned and told why this training is important, and it needs to be done at a point where the teachers can actually be mentally free to attend that training, and not push it down, right? So sometimes schools tell us that, do a training on a Sunday, and I tell them, look, we can do a training on a Sunday and we don't mind. But imagine you're taking a teacher's personal time away to make this happen, and that's not a great idea to do. Instead, if you want to give it to them online, in the comfort of their own house, that's even better to do. So look at what topics would really support teachers. Do it at a time, when the teachers can mentally and physically be present to do something. If not physically in a classroom, that's fine. Online is also okay, but as long as they know that this is something that they're going to be using further. Yeah. All right. Moving forward, so this was all about teachers, right? So what are some of the other things that we do in order to ensure that through teachers, students are impacted? And these things also help in, taking care of how teachers function in school. So one, of course, is that we provide an integrated learning system. And an integrated learning system basically means that every classroom is turned into a smart classroom. So there's a television and a tablet. There are teaching learning materials that teachers have. They have books, of course, we can't do away with those, but they have a lot of TLMs that they can use in classrooms to use, and students learn in multiple ways. So today's students don't learn by books, right? I'm sure a lot of you who are attending this session, when we were back in school, and I can say that about myself also, the one way that we learned was just by reading books or writing in our notebooks. Today, children don't learn like that, right? Beyond books, they need audiovisual content, they need kinesthetic learning, which means that they need to have some hands-on practice of what they're doing. So the integrated solution provides actually all of these modes for students to be learning in the classroom, and that's what we support schools with. The other thing that we do ensure is that we provide a support system in English where children have differentiated learning. So they learn English at a certain level that they're in. I think all of us don't come from English backgrounds. It is a language that we learn at school. We all speak Hindi, Marathi, Telugu, Tamil, a lot of other languages back home. But when it comes to school, English becomes very, very important because all subjects are taught in that language. And of course, with the way the economy is, if we want our students to have the capacity and capability to move forward in future, English becomes really important. So we provide a system where, students get to learn English at their own specific level, and they're not pushed into, learning English too fast, too soon, but at a pace that they want to learn. And we also provide a lot of personality development support, exposure support to students through two things. One is master classes. So we have a lot of famous personalities coming in and conducting these master classes for our students. And the other thing that we run is the national championship every year. We've recently had this in the month of second week of January in Bangalore, where we had 60 students out of 1 lakh students getting selected, coming all the way to Bangalore, performing in front of a lot of parents and their teachers. They were participating in contests for CCS in English and science. They presented a lot of projects. They took part in extempore quizzes, a lot of other fun activities. And then of course we had 6 national champions out of that received the final awards. And this is something that we really cherish, because we've realized giving students exposure at this level actually does two things. One, of course, it is motivating for the students and for their parents. Two, it also showcases how the school and its teachers are preparing the students for tomorrow. This, I think, is something that we've been speaking about, all through the webinar, the teacher enablement and capability system, right? So having teacher tablets in hand means no more creation of resources, no more lesson plan creation, saves a lot of time. Read the plan, go in class, teach, do it as simple as that. And sometimes, when I look at this, I actually envy the teachers today, because I'm sure many of you who are principals and owners or have been teachers in the past, we did not have technology in classrooms, right? I had to literally sit and make a notebook of lesson plans, plan for like 6 classes every day, write it down, take it into my class, make TLMs for all of that. And that took me hours to do this. Instead of focusing on actually my job of teaching and ensuring my students do very well, I was spending a lot of time in just doing all of these tasks. The second one, of course, is teacher, self-paced certification programs. We've spoken about that, so I'm not going to get into that anymore. And in-person training sessions. I think that hand-holding of somebody coming in with an external view and supporting teachers is very, very important. AI-based remedial. I think this is one of the most innovative things that we've done at Lead, and it's commendable. I've not seen this anywhere so far, and I think what's amazing about this is that it specifically tells the teacher at class level, individual level, and group level what are some of the topics that teachers need to support students with, and who are the students who need support. Let me actually ask all of you a question. How many of you have actually seen, teachers after an exam revising the entire paper? They would just open up after the exam is done and students are back in the class after a couple of days. They would say, okay, we'll revise the whole paper. They would go question by question, do the entire thing again once the children have their answer sheets in hand. If you've seen teachers do that in your schools, please put a yes in the chat. Have you seen teachers like just revise the entire paper after the exam is done when the answer keys are given out? Okay, I can see a couple of yeses. Yes, always. Yeah, Anita ma'am, I think that's what exactly happens, right? Teachers go into classroom, give out the answer sheets to students and say, okay, chalo, now let's revise the whole paper. And I think what that takes away from is the fact that teachers sometimes don't figure that, and Amit in my class is actually struggling with just addition, while a Neha in my class is, struggling with just subtraction. And I need to give them individual support. And how do I do that? Because I don't have the time to sit and analyze the data, look at all of this, figure out what each student of mine needs. And to make my life easy as a teacher, because I have limited time, I end up doing everything. So AI-based remedials actually saves teachers effort in that. It specifically tells, what are those topics that you need to revise? What are those specific things that are important for next unit or next chapter that you're going to be doing? For example, if teachers don't revise repeated addition, students will struggle in multiplication. But will all students have that problem? Not necessarily. So it's important that teachers revise things that are very specific to students and close the gaps before students move forward. Creating a system where the assessments are made very easy on 3 clicks. This is again a very, very innovative thing. We have a question bank of 300,000 questions teachers can use and decide what rigor level they want for their children. Do they want an easy paper, medium level paper, difficult paper, what chapters, what questions, what type of questions do they want? Do they want long answers? Do they want MCQs? How many marks they want? I remember when I had to create a paper, and I'm sure many of you are still doing this out there. It took me a couple of days. Create the paper, find the right questions, create a balance in them, find the right marks, ensure that children will be able to answer that in 2 hours time, get it corrected from the coordinator, get it typed, check for errors, then send it for printing. I had to do some 10 steps before the paper was actually printed. In the case that we are providing in this feature, it's 3 simple clicks and the paper is ready for printing. So and that just saves teachers hours and hours of hard work and stress that they go through. So stress management also means reducing some of the efforts that teachers put in. Providing things that not just support teachers, but we also ensure that we have ways in which we can support school owners and principals. And one of them, which has been really supportive all these years, is the academic ERP nucleus that we have. This ensures that you have access to real-time data in your school, how students are doing, how teachers are doing, test papers if you want to review, answer keys are ready on that. You exactly know what is happening in every classroom. Have teachers completed their syllabus? I think this is a huge challenge everybody has, right? Which some of you also mentioned that this is a stress thing because parents get after teachers' lives, that this is done or not done. And the ERP actually guides you and tells you how your school is doing overall without actually having to sit in every single classroom all the time at the tip of your fingers and on your mobile. And in order to ensure that we have a great start with any school that we work with, we first provide something called as an experience hub. So we ensure that we have a classroom where there is a television and TV, and your parents get to experience how technology will be used in the school. We also ensure that we conduct a strong teacher orientation and support the school to run parent orientations, because if you don't have parents on board with what you want to do, it gets very difficult to bring about a change, right? You're doing this change not just for your students, but you're actually ensuring that parents are on board with any kind of change that happens in school at any point in time. So to have like a great start journey with the school, we ensure that we support your teachers, get them on board, get them aligned to what you think is needed for your school. We also bring your parents and ensure that they are ready for whatever kind of change that you're planning on bringing into school. So everyone adopts technology at the same time and understands the purpose that it serves, right? right? So these are some of the things that we've been doing, and I'm really, really hoping that we'll be able to work with some of your schools in future and take that stress away from your teachers, right? Like I said, I envy how technology is changing teachers' lives today, and I'm hoping that many of you would want to do the same to support them. Before I actually go forward, Sneha, do we have another poll for our members?
Yes, we do. Um, Audience, I actually want to understand how you're feeling after this session. What is your confidence level at? Right now on your screen, you can see a question popping up. How confident are you feeling about implementing all these teacher retention strategies in your school? Are you feeling quite confident? Are you feeling moderately confident, or do you still need more strategies and more ways and more assistance?
I'm very happy to see that quite a few of you feel quite confident in doing these things. Some of you, of course, need some more assistance. Don't worry about that. We'll tell you how to get you that support. All right. We're waiting for a few more responses and then we'll end the poll.
This is great. 57% of you are feeling quite confident. And I think that gives us such validation in the sense that, again, we do these sessions month on month, and I understand it's a weekday. Um, and speaking of validation, and we obviously want to do more such sessions that are designed for your school. What are your pain points? And we want to hear you, and we want to set strategies for you that you can implement, because ultimately, all of our goal, whoever is present in the webinar today, ultimately we want to achieve some great learning outcomes for our students, right? And having said that, on your chat box, you can see that I have also sent a feedback. Take a moment to go through the feedback form and give us your suggestions. We are here to listen to you, and we want you to give us suggestions on what are the next topics you want us to cover. What are your biggest challenges in running a school? What are you facing? And we are here. We will get some of the best experts like Ritika to come and solve your issues that you're facing with your school.
We have a suggestion, Sneha from Molly ma'am. She would want us to have a session for writing skills, developing writing skills for students. Great.
Wonderful.
Parent satisfaction. Ramohan
Absolutely.
sir has suggested that. Wonderful. I also see a couple of questions. Should I move forward and answer those?
Yeah, please, Ritika.
Yeah.
Let me.
Madhuri ma'am has actually asked, is the ERP and the app available only for CBSE schools? No, Madhuri ma'am, we actually work with multiple state board schools across the country, especially in the south. We have Andhra, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, and north we work with Haryana, Punjab board. We also work with MP, Rajasthan, Gujarat. So, schools across countries what we work with. So it's not just available for CBSE schools, but also for state board schools. I'll actually share the details if since some of you mentioned that you need some support. Here is a number and an email ID on which you can reach out to us for any kind of support that you need.
Exactly. I would request the audience to take a quick screenshot of this. And in case you miss, we will be sharing this entire deck and the recording across to your email IDs. So if you have any further question, if you want any further assistance, you just have to give us a missed call and our team will reach out to you. In fact, Ritika, Madhuri ma'am is setting up a Cambridge International School in
Yeah, this is
Gujarat.
wonderful. Congratulations, Madhuri ma'am. I'm sure it's a great step that you're taking. We'll have someone from our team be in touch with you and get you the support that you need. So whatever details you need, you can reach out to us on the given number and email ID. We'll also ensure that someone from the team picks up this information and gets in touch with you.
Yes, Anand sir, we would be giving each one of you a participation certificate.
Radhika ma'am has a question, and how and who do we contact with lead for creating a bespoke program for our school in Kur? You can just reach out on the given number, Radhika ma'am, but we'll also make note of your details and see if someone can get in touch with you immediately. Rammohan sir is asking about attendance link. It's automatically marked, right, Sneha?
Yeah, it is automatically marked, and like I said, there's going to be a participation certificate that will go to each one of our attendees for attending this session.
All right. If there are any more questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box.
All right, it's 5 o'clock. It has been a wonderful session. Thank you, Ritika, so much for this wonderful session and sharing your personal anecdotes. I think we learned so much from that, right? And to everyone who attended this webinar, thank you again for taking the time out and joining us this afternoon. Like I said, we will be sharing this entire recording with you. We will be sharing the content with you. And in case you need more assistance, please give us a missed call or write to us, and we will definitely get back to you.
All right. Thanks everyone for joining in. I hope this was huge learning. Wishing you all very, very best for the upcoming exam season. And I hope that this year you will not have any teacher attrition at all and you're able to retain all your teachers and build great culture going ahead. And thank you so much for all those who shared some of the ideas for others to learn from. Wishing you all, a great day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Madhuri ma'am. Thank you, everyone.